talking to you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. We hear you.
Okay.
It's coming from the TV.
It's coming from the TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
Couldn't do that if we tried.
Yeah, hey, good thing I didn't have to do anything, or we'd be challenged here, yeah. When you don't have to do anything, that's good. Let me turn it down that way where it can.
Now, angle the camera down a little because I'm looking at the ceiling. There we go. That's
where you
better.
want you to see the ceiling, yeah.
That's better.
You see that?
I
That's
see.
your new radio. That's your
I
new
s-
radio.
Okay, cool. Now,
Can you
a
see
weather-
that?
a weather radio?
Yep. It's free.
I will take it.
We already figured that out. We just wanted you to say it, you know.
I
Got a
see.
bunch.
I see Ray's there.
Nah, I've been getting too much grief for bringing things home. It's like, where are you going? Where are you gonna plug it in?
Yeah, Ray's here.
Hey, at least I have use.
Yeah, so appreciate it.
You know, it's got a button. so
Art's
like,
Art's here.
issue. So you don't have to listen to it talk.
Hi,
all the
Art.
time.
Just gives you hearts.
It'll kick on when there's an emergency for you.
Hey, Art, man, how you doing? You make it through okay?
I have a slightly modified belly button, but otherwise it came through okay.
You look pretty good.
Well, gee, thank you.
People hear me and you know,
Like I left the other window.
What you have done?
What's the question?
What kind of procedure did you have?
Oh, I had an umbilical hernia and I had that corrected and they put a mesh in. And so I'm in the healing mode right now. So far I'm a week out. I had the procedure done. As a matter of fact, when you started the meeting last week, I was just coming out of recovery, so I wasn't in a condition to participate in the meeting or much of anything else. I was pretty much out of it at that point in time, but I'm a week later and things have come along nicely.
All right.
At any rate, you know, any of them you walk away from don't count, all right?
yeah. Kenny's got one he couldn't walk away from. Not yet. Anyway.
What
He's gonna be-
happened?
Oh, it's his foot. He's gonna nurse that foot. He's milking that one. He's going trying for February. Oh, dang.
He was going with a prosthetic toe last I heard.
He did the programmable cell thing
Oh, yeah.
for his foot. What do they call those cells?
Stem cells.
Stem cells. Yeah, he did a stem cell. Doctor says he's doing fine. It's just taking him till February to totally heal. He's coming back, but he's had a few other ailments.
So what was wrong with his toe?
He's got a genetic thing with one of his feet, and I think his junction to his big toe or something like that was bad, and they just put stem cells in there and said, make it new. And he's just waiting for him to finish up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah, he's cutting edge. Yeah.
So I guess he won't be kicking any butt real soon.
No, we're safe. We go outside, we're pretty safe. Not gonna bother us.
Okay. Well, I hope he, so this is procedures already done or is to be done?
It's already done. It's done like 3 or 4 months ago. It's just a long healing process. He's got some other things going on too. Whew. But it just takes some time to get everything healed up. He's a slow healer and he loves to milk things, you know. Yeah, dang, it don't matter. Free money, he's gonna ride that train till allow him cross over or something, you know.
Well,
Yeah,
they can do some pretty amazing things with medical procedures these days.
Yeah. Hey, Leroy, what's up with you?
It's kind of, I don't know. I got a new toy the other day. Actually, last Thursday.
That's a
So are
shock.
you at home? You at home?
I'm at home, yeah. I'm not feeling, me and Patty both aren't feeling real well. So I just figured it was better safe than sorry. Stay home. Because you never know.
You look a little red.
My temperature's up a little bit too, but I think it's my tooth that's bothering me, not anything else. Patty doesn't feel real well. She called off work, so neither one of us really feel good right now.
Dang.
But my wow, that's cool. My Vizzy showed up.
So what is a Vizzy?
It is a very, very, very expensive Raspberry Pi in a funky case.
So it's what, 15 bucks?
Okay.
We need to multiply that by 10 and double it.
Oh, really?
300 bucks.
Yeah.
Get all that money.
Yeah.
Are you sure this bug you've got isn't affecting your your mind?
Yes, I'm this was a Kickstarter project from a long time ago. And it got held up. It was supposed to be delivered in 2020 and it got held up and held up and held up and kept getting pushed back. And I'm one of the few people that actually have one because apparently there's some shipping issues now. Even coming from Amazon isn't shipping correctly. So I'm one of the very few people that actually have my $300 Raspberry Pi.
So what's so fancy about it besides it looks like a camera?
It has one of the more expensive camera sensor units on it. And I opted to get the 3 megapixel lens. Oh, don't lose that. I probably need that adapter ring. The zoom lens.
There it went.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a infrared telephotic telesonic, very, very good zoom lens. When I priced these stupid zoom lenses out, they were like $180. So I figured that had to be at least part of the cost in this thing. But this was, I showed a video of it a couple weeks ago, I think, where it was looking at a bird feeder and chasing off the squirrels. It would identify the birds as being able to go to the bird feeder and the squirrels as being bad. And it shot water at them.
Oh, that's cool.
So Basically, that's what this is. It's got a lot of artificial intelligence software, OpenCV, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Unfortunately, even though the hardware was relatively simple for them to get, the software is being a challenge right now. So I could do a couple of the demo pieces of software, but everybody's seen these things identify TVs and bottles and that kind of stuff. And that's basically what the demo is right now, is it'll identify my monitor as a TV, my cell phone as a cell phone, various and sundry things around the room as what they are. But right now it won't identify birds, which is one of the things that I thought was cool about it. So
It will identify squirrels.
not yet. They're working on the software. They said they
Oh,
ran
yeah,
into a little bit of problem with the software.
You know what I got an idea for?
Raccoons.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the way it was working in their demo was anything that wasn't a bird got shot with water. So
Oh, okay.
a person walk in front of it, you get shot with water. But
So is the zoom lens motorized?
no, it is not a motorized lens. But you can. They've broken out. You can't see it. They've broken out some of the GPIO, and you can put servos on it, so you can make it, kind of craft it to do it yourself. And I did not buy the outdoor kit for it. There's a big enclosure, outdoor camera enclosure, and I figured I could get an outdoor camera enclosure cheaper than what they were trying to sell theirs for. So I didn't opt for the outdoor enclosure that they were trying to sell. But it runs on, what is this, 12 volt? Yep, 12 volt, 2 amp power supply.
Where is this Kickstarter crew? Are they US or are they
Yeah,
Europe?
yeah. They're the same people that made the Pixie Cam. And I've owned a couple of their Pixie Cams, so I didn't feel bad about backing their project. It just took a lot longer to get than what anybody wanted, including them, I think. It's got a little light that says when it's booted up, so you don't try to do stuff. It should be trying to connect to the Wi-Fi right now.
So is this a Raspberry Pi 3 or 4?
4, and I got the 4 gig model. I spent extra for the 4 gig model because I'm crazy like that. Can you see that?
We're flashing. We see something.
So that's just the standard lens that's on it. I haven't tried the zoom lens yet. If I go here to, nope, there's no apps, examples. TensorFlow right and tell it to run TensorFlow.
It's a
Now-
image training set for TV.
TV clock. It thinks my desktop is a clock. That's interesting. It identified. Yep, there's people. Yeah,
The TV.
it's a TV. See if that says. Oh, it thinks the fish is a person. That's cool.
Chairperson.
There's a Batman. Thinks Batman's a bottle.
So it recognizes a mouse and a keyboard.
Yeah. And
What is the what's the number after it?
I think that's the confidence level.
Okay.
Like I said, they haven't finished the software yet, so they don't have a whole lot of documentation yet. But I think that that's the confidence level. Says that's a book. It's just wrong. That's wrong. Did know that that was a remote the other day. Yep, says remote.
So is it learning? Is it a learning system? It's got AI and can learn or not?
Well, this particular demo is TensorFlow. So you have to train it. So basically you'd have to tell it it's wrong and to try again.
Yeah, there's your training data sets.
They've included like a basic set, a basic training set. That's why it's kind of all over the place. It needs to be fine tuned. It's got edge detection, which is kind of interesting. Which I would imagine you would need. Ow.
You were doing an outline.
I knocked the power cord out.
A squirrel. My dog would be a raccoon. Yeah, if they're doing all that.
They've gone in there and identified the key, you can see it, and then they put characteristics on it, and that's how you train the data sets.
Yeah, I think I'd be looking for the mask across the face.
You know, the raccoon.
Yes. Yeah, I'm after raccoons.
You're popular today, Jim.
Okay, I believe you. And that confirms it.
Edge detection is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is.
Think you probably would use that in robots to look at stuff. But without any real example, it's hard to say what I would use that for. So really, TensorFlow and TensorFlow Lite are pretty much the same demo. And then video is just video. It doesn't do anything but show video. So,
So I've seen a kid use the edge detection for creating a VR room or whatever.
for something.
So
That
having to build it or measure it all out, it would do all the You know, pan the camera around it and create the room for you.
Out of all the demos, the edge detection works the best. So, oh, cool. That's the wall. There's a lot of little ridges in the wall.
Spider-Man. Now we know how the spiders climb.
So is that seeing a textured wall?
Yeah, it's a textured wall. Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool. I bet you that's the basis for a lot of the other apps.
Yeah,
Oh,
I would
that
think
nice.
so.
I'll have to pass by.
I mean, there's a Mustang right there where my finger's pointing. There's some other car right there, and that's the 1966 Batmobile. And it pretty much gets all the edges. I bet you could build all kinds of funky things based on the edge detection.
Odd that it gets the background on the screen too.
Anyway,
So is it open source so you can edit the software yourself?
yeah. They're trying to, that's what I just showed in edge detection. They're trying to make it all web-based. So that, you know, if you're don't have a programming background or whatever, you can still use it easily, with the word easy being in quotation marks.
Yeah. Yeah. Get in the here.
The first time I got this maybe a week ago, and it was a little tricky to set up, and we ran through troubleshooting on it and whatever. You know, it's got a SSH port open up, so it's easy to get to. It's a Raspberry Pi, so it's running
Metrology.
you know, Raspberrian or whatever they want to call it.
You were doing the math.
So they're using Raspbian.
Pretty much. They have made a few changes, mainly with how the Wi-Fi works. But it's pretty much a stock setup, at least right now. And a few of the things that I pointed out to them that I was having problems with, they said that they would get it on the list of things to fix because they wanted to make it easy. And since I have knowledge of how Raspberry Pis work, it wasn't hard for me to do, but it wasn't as easy as it could have been, if that makes sense. So if they want to make it as easy as possible, they need to fix some of that stuff.
They had two, maybe three.
So,
Lots of professor.
wow, looks like there's a decent sized group out there today. And there's a Vicente.
Yep. We heard you weren't going to be here.
That's what it was.
Party time.
Yeah.
Let's see, Mike, I hadn't seen you in a while. What's up, man?
Oh, man. Well, most recent project or attempted project, I have a robo-mow, runs around the backyard. So it's got the field generator for the wire.
Uh-huh.
Well, those things are expensive. So I thought I'd make one, trying to do one for the front yard. So I bought it from a robot shop. They sold a little circuit board and all the components for like $10 and just put it together. But it works kind of hit or miss. Sometimes he senses the wire and avoids it. Other time he just runs past it and then won't come back in because then now he's sensing it.
Yeah, now you won't cross the
So-
line, yeah.
I can't put that in the front yard.
Well, that should be a receiver issue, receiver.
Or output amplitude.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I tried different lengths, put resistors in it. It was
You may
just
wanna-
always hit or miss.
Try coax cable. It's bigger and it's got a polyurethane outer. It might work better than regular wire.
Yeah,
It puts the signal on the ground. And it gives you more radiating area.
I came across an Arduino one that was just generating a signal in there using the motor drive as a amplifier, so to say. But still working on that.
Yeah, that's going to be really noisy.
Yeah.
it's
So-
a long where it should be noisy, yeah. Oh, yeah, bring us some pictures and show us what you got,
Okay.
and videos
So
and stuff.
this uses a buried wire fence.
Yes. It's just like the dog invisible fence.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I found one that was $75, but it was being shipped from Israel with a disclaimer on there: additional shipping and tariff fees may be included. And it's like, no, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. So otherwise, they're $400 or $500 for the generator. So it's like, for that, I'll just disconnect the one in the back and move it to the front.
There you go. Do you
So
know
how
what-
deep do you have to bury that wire?
Not offhand, no.
Mhm.
Pardon?
How deep do you have to bury that wire?
I just laid it on top of the ground and it's slowly sinking. The grass is growing around it.
Tilt over.
Yeah,
Does it go into the thatch of the ground, not into the dirt?
yeah, it can go up to 2 inches deep
Okay.
and still work. But
You should be able to put up a little test stand and wave it around, see if it goes off when you're near the edge, and see what makes it malfunction. You got a light, so when it hits the edge, does it have a light on top of it? So when it hits it, yeah, that's what you need.
yeah.
See when it's missing the light.
Does it work like a fox and hound?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Fox and hound.
Okay, so a fox and hound is it's a like suspect in the tracer.
Yep.
So it's a signal generator that gets
Have one up there.
put onto a wire, and it's a radio frequency. But so you got the fox is the signal transmitter,
Okay.
and it'll connect to ground, and it connects to your wire device. And then the hound is the tracer. So when you press the button, it's looking for the signal, and you wave close to it, and it'll get like a warbling noise or a different kind of signal that we can hear, and we're like, oh yeah, that's the wire. So we use a fox and hound in a lot of wire tracing situations where you got like 80 wires. Which one of them is the one that I need to
Okay.
connect to this device?
Okay.
So-
I have a wire tracer because my wire broke. So it's like, where is it broke?
Okay, so with a fox and hound, if I put my signal generator onto your wire, I can actually trace it and see where it's at in the ground. So if it's broken, that could
And
be
tell
an
you,
issue.
No,
Yeah.
it's good because, yeah, I bought one of those Harbor Freight.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
you stick a stake in the ground, clip one lead onto the end of the wire and walk around with this sensor, and it just gives you an audible tone until all of a sudden I hit the brake. So it's like, okay, it's right within these couple of
Couple
inches.
inches, yeah.
And I've got that all fixed.
You can see the reflection from the brake and know how far away you are from it.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting.
So yeah, it works in the back and works on the regular generator, but when I disconnect the wires and put my homemade one on there, it's just hit or miss.
Okay, have you looked at your signal through like an oscilloscope or anything to see
Yeah.
like what is the amplitude, what is the frequency, how does it compare one to the other?
They give you specs, but I don't have a scope.
You can borrow one. I can right next to 'em.
I know Leroy's got a real nice one.
Do you remember what the
Actually,
frequency was?
Leroy looks innocent.
Or is that
Yeah.
calm?
It said text that cost of the scope.
What was that?
Yeah, this
Yes.
one there, on the
Your
demo,
job.
they were
Gotta
showing
go.
it even had my model of motor. So it's like, this is made for this, so.
One
Might
thing
not
that
believe
the
that.
inductive amp might help you with, listen to see what the one that's working sounds like. Just compare the two.
Yeah,
I mean, the amp is just a little LM386 and cranked up to 5,000 dB increase, and they're super sensitive. But yeah, just listening to it may give you a clue what the
Yeah.
difference is.
Yeah, use the signal injector and see what your signal strength is all the way around. Just, yeah, maybe your signal's weak or something in one area or something. Or broke.
Or your electric wire under the ground, and all find your plumbing line.
Do you have any buried lines around you? That's a good question.
yeah.
Okay, so that could be an issue. The other thing is just what is it, the humidity in water, the ground?
Yeah, but that should affect both wires.
Yeah, that would affect both generators. He's talking about the difference between his generator and the other generator.
Yeah.
So,
Have you tried switching which terminal it's hooked to?
Yeah, because that matters, yeah.
Either would probably work, one wouldn't work nearly as well.
Yeah.
I always
I
try
forgot to mark that when I disconnected the leads off of the other unit. I put it back in and it's like, wait a minute, now nothing's working. So it's like, okay, that must be good. Clockwise or counterclockwise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about you, Barry? Hadn't seen you in a while.
I brought gifts. Anybody wants some weather alert radios?
Yeah.
Weather alert radios, free weather radio alert radios.
Circa 1995.
We got Leroy's right here. Leroy right here.
Radio Shack Q, big one.
Thank you, Barry.
You're welcome, Leroy.
Yeah, let me see. On the Radio Shack ones, you could open them up and stretch out one of the coils and pick up channel 5.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Remember, Channel 5 is moved now.
Well, yeah. It ain't gonna work now, but
Ta-da.
so why do you have 4 in the box weather radios?
He's got
I got
30 something.
40 to, well, I thought I had 42. And one of the things actually was the emergency kit, so it only had one in it. So now I got like somewhere in the mid high 30s. My uncle and one of his friends from high school started a company years ago for like disabled emergency services, like flags for deaf people and all kinds of stuff. And it never really took off. So he gave me all the radios the other day. I said to see if I could try to get rid of them or find somebody wanting them or try to sell them. I put them up on Craigslist and a couple other places, and then nobody's interested in them for like $20. I was like, well, hell, you guys would probably like them, and it gets rid of a couple boxes out of my garage. So,
Do they have like an audio output on them?
Well, it's got an antenna connector. It doesn't have a headphone jack.
It's got a speaker on it, so
Yeah. I mean, you can
put a jack on it if you want it, I guess.
Does it have a USB port?
No.
Oh.
No. Way before that.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't even do SAM codes.
pass that down.
Let's say it's got a power supply, and then it takes a 9-volt battery if you want to run off the electric.
Oh, what I was thinking of was like I could do a audio jack from here to,
PA or something.
well, I was thinking to my on-hold music for my telephone. Not that everybody wants to hear what the weather is in my area. It's better than do 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 do.
Yeah, they give you that.
Voice. And 3 different frequencies.
Yeah, for the different regions you're in.
So Barry, what's the vintage of these?
Like I said, probably like mid-90s.
Okay.
They're Maxon. Evidently, they were a pretty good brand.
Yeah.
I wasn't familiar with them, but I looked them up.
And you have 40 of them ish.
Yeah.
What's the model?
So, WX3.
Dyslexic version of it.
So, I mean, they were, $50, $60 back then.
They look nice, yeah. It's a nice version.
So, I hooked the first one up and put it on my desk. It gets a good signal. And I'm in the middle of nowhere where cellular doesn't work, so that's the reason I was kind of like, well, hey, these should go like hotcakes out here. I had like a couple guys on the EMT go like, yeah, that's awesome. And,
Box looks like it says 1987.
okay, mid-80s.
That's before USB.
I thought they were 90s. Oh, sorry.
Well, they may be. They probably ran for 4 or 5 years with them. This box I'm looking at happens to say 1987, but
Yeah. I said, I don't know if there's even there might be a date on the paperwork here.
There might be a schematic in there. That age.
Almost, yeah. If they were 80s, they'd have the schematic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a no radio. It works. I said. And if your model has an issue, let me know. I'll happily hand you another one.
It's got
Oh, it's got a schematic. Yep.
Whoa,
So it might be in the 80s.
Seriously.
that's
So we
worth it.
can tweak it for Z93Q102 or something like that.
it's in the 160 megahertz range. So
It's not gonna get it.
I mean, weather band is 162 to 164, something like that.
Yeah, that's the weather band.
You're probably not going to get it to go too far out of band. Might be able to drop it into the 150s somewhere.
Well, hey, there's like a
Got a $4
small
power
power
supply.
supply in it, so.
I'll take one.
So
I
how's
figured
the frequency controlled? Is it a regular LC or is it crystal control or what?
I'd assume they're crystal.
Yeah, they're fixed. They're not tunable.
Give us a minute, we're gonna find out.
There's a 3.
What? Oh, well.
There's like Blue, Crystal, RC. What's it got? How does it control the frequency?
It's got a little lever that flips between 3 channels.
Oh.
What's this
That
schematic?
must be 3 different crystals.
Three crystals, yeah.
And if you could change the crystals, you might be able to move the frequency quite a bit.
I don't think it's good.
Oh,
If there's only, I mean, there's what, six weather stations? You need to be able to do more than that.
So you're talking about NOAA, right?
No, yeah.
So Steve, you don't have a screwdriver with you?
I do.
We know better than that.
Always do.
it's gonna go to the extreme.
Yeah, why not?
It's gonna take one apart right here for a lab. It was working. Now I don't guarantee it anymore.
Wait, no guarantee?
chop it up for parts.
Never leave home without a screwdriver.
But like I say, I got 3 more in the car. If everybody wants one.
Yeah, we assumed Steve was not gonna be with us.
One to chop up.
That's half the reason why I think you gave it to me, because they figured I could probably use connectors and stuff. And
Why don't we chop it
There's
like that? I want to see if we can.
Huge need for RCA connectors.
well, just the 9-volt battery adapter. He was hoping that he gave me another thing he wants me to fix, and he thought I could use the parts out of these to fix it for him, but they take AA's or whatever instead of 9 volts. So I was like, that's not the same. He's like, oh.
I mean, I definitely recognize some parts of this, but
Want me to
the
help you with
audio
that?
amplifier portion.
I can make that easier to read for you.
Yeah, well, you got one online? An online?
No, it's right here on the table.
Take picture and
Take a picture for you. And
email to me. No, I'm just looking at every little thing. I don't mean to look like a crazy guy.
well, I just
That boat's gone by.
It's gone by, huh?
That just make it a little easier on your eyes. We could do that
That's
triple
liberal.
size or something for you.
No.
That's what I do anymore. Look,
Okay, it's got 2 chips in it. MC 14069 UBCP and a MC 140608. I'm not sure what those are, but it looks to be all analog to me. Other than that, it's got a little 386D amplifier chip in it.
Yeah, that's the audio. Pretty easy to see that one.
So Steve, are those surface mount or dip or what?
They're dip, they're soldered in place, 14-pin chips.
so there's no surface mount.
MC 14608.
14060, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
14069 and a 14060.
060.
Okay, so it's MC 14060. And I think the other one on the schematic is a 4069.
So the 060 is a stage binary ripple counter.
Yeah, okay.
What was the other part number?
MC 14069. Might be a phase lock loop.
4069. I would-
Yeah, I was gonna say, that was phase like loop days. They had.
That is a hex inverter.
Okay,
Okay.
well, for some reason it needs to count.
And it needs to invert.
Analog. And the rest of it is analog.
Can you see crystals in there, Steve?
No, though they could be awfully tiny. It's got 4 adjustable chokes for transformers.
These are ferrite core chokes.
Yes, and around 20 transistors.
Yeah. Yeah, that's back in the hard days.
Yeah.
So this is really discreet, huh?
Yeah, and it has one transistor that appears to have heat sink on it, Q8. Any idea what Q8 does in there?
It's got a 16 megahertz crystal.
It does?
It's right here by the end. It's a switch. Looks like a X1.
Is it listed as SW6 by any chance?
X1 16 point something. It's right by the, yeah, 16.2020 megahertz. right by the,
That,
what is that? To the left, what is that? It's right there. Right next to the weather switch. To the right of the weather switch, you see a crystal.
In the base of a transistor, right?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
going to the
there.
base of a first transistor.
Okay, yep.
that's, so it's
16.202.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's using that as a multiplier. It's multiplying something to get up to 160 megahertz.
So it sounds like it's multiplying by a factor of 10.
So that might be why it needs a counter.
Oh, that way it can do an up or down.
Meow, meow, meow. What is that, FM? AM?
I'm pretty sure it's AM.
AM? Oh, wow.
I think it's changed. I think it used to be AM. I think it's FM now. In today's world, they may broadcast both.
Just say it still works, so. yeah.
I sent to your phone, Roy.
You're talking about NOAA there?
Yeah.
No, I think is narrowband FM currently.
Has it always been?
I can only speak back into the 40s, so I don't know.
That schematic's really hard to read on the phone.
Yeah. Broadcast from over 800 FM transmitters on 7 frequencies in the VHF band, ranging from 162.4 to 162.55 megahertz.
Yep.
So FM, you say?
Narrow FM.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Narrowband
All
FM.
that stuff was FM back
I
then.
think it's using an analog system for TLO.
That's pretty quick.
Cool.
Once you get the antenna point in the right direction anyway.
Pretty sweet stuff.
Anybody want to see the inside?
Oh, of course.
Got it open, let's
That's
check
a
it out.
factory.
Yeah, everybody wants to see that,
I'm
yeah.
glad I brought it. I'm the highlight of the evening.
So you take pictures of it and put them on Wix?
What's Wix?
Wix is the collaboration.
The forum site.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then, and Mike is a lawnmower on Wix.
Transistors. The audio amplifier looks pretty standard.
Yeah, it's just an M386, boing, boom, fell out of bed on that one.
Yeah.
I'll just
Yeah,
say,
those things have been around for a long, long time.
I have no idea what he paid for them, but
Yeah,
In
it's
quantity, probably 20, 25.
nice units though. Those are nice. Those are, if they're, looks like it looks like it's gonna have a good receiver in it. That looks like a good circuit board. Looks like a good receiver.
let's say, I know they're old. They've been sitting in the
Gotta love the 80s when they would give you the schematics.
Yep.
They really went analog. You can see right here where they grounded
Yeah.
all the adjustable casings.
It's back when quality was built in the circuits.
Because it needed to be.
Single-sided circuit.
So Barry, did he have these made in the Far East or did he have them manufactured locally?
I'm not sure who made them, other than Maxon.
Let's say.
They were from Kansas City back then, I guess.
Nah, it was
Made in the
it was
Philippines.
Philippines. Yeah, it's gonna be Japan, Philippines.
So
Yeah.
the pamphlet says printed in Philippines, but
Yeah.
company was out of Missouri back then.
They're close.
Yeah.
How many boom boxes do you have left from the 80s?
When I was in school, one of the guys had a boom box that had a double-sided record player in it. It would play a standard 10-inch LP, both sides, with a linear tracking turntable on repeat.
Nice.
That thing was half the size of this table. I mean, it had two, I guess, 10-inch subs on it. It had a grand total, like 14 speakers and a dozen D cells.
Probably only lasts like 3 or 4 hours. Another set of batteries.
Honestly, it ran quite a long time. I mean, he used to bring it to class. I was in a drafting class and they'd let us listen to the radio. And he brought that thing in. It was hilarious.
That must have cost a mint.
Wow, 9-volt connectors.
Smell the phenolic.
If I remember correctly, he paid more for it than I did for my Gremlin.
I kind of assumed that. I wasn't going to say anything.
What is this cost
It
for?
might cost more than a car.
That's an
Speaking-
antenna.
Well,
antenna.
a Gremlin.
Yeah.
I paid $130 for my
Yeah.
Gremlin. If memory serves.
He's trying to say your
Yeah.
Gremlin wasn't a vehicle?
It was a wonderful vehicle.
Power.
Well,
That
that's
thing was a
what I'm
lot
saying.
of fun.
I called it a car. It sounded like you weren't accepting it as a vehicle. So,
Transistor heat sink.
That thing had a surprising amount of torque and no weight on the rear end and was a blast in the snow.
Cool.
Closer, closer.
Yeah, that thing's not gonna
won't
focus
focus
that
in
good.
closer in.
Speak. Okay.
Just giving it to tease him.
Oh, I've seen those circuits before. I've opened plenty of stuff from the 80s. I know what those look like.
Appreciate it.
Let me take a picture. of this side.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
People might even use them.
Yeah. I will.
Yeah, that looks like a classic 80s design right there.
Yeah.
Ray, where you been, man? Tell us about it.
I think where have I been? Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina, Pennsylvania. Trying to keep things together, right? Next week I have a few stops in California, Anaheim, California. Week after that, I got Long Island, New York, Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and then
West Virginia.
somewhere in Boston. That's
California.
I'm gonna fly to California. Fly.
Well,
Take an airplane. That's how
like
I
I say, they're going to stop flights to Ohio. I thought this week or something.
What?
Well,
No,
like California's banned 14 or 18 states now.
That's hilarious.
Well, he'll be flying out of Kentucky.
for what? Like everything's seceded from the.
Because they don't like their
Federation?
states anymore because some LGBT thing. So they've stopped all flights to like 18 states.
You try to play from Texas, huh?
Yeah, they.
It's nuts, man. I just heard about it like yesterday. I was like, I still haven't even looked it up yet. They were saying, yeah, like they're gonna stop flights to Ohio. I'm like, what?
I feel no sense of loss.
No. Anyway, Hired a new guy for, another guy for the business. They're doing traveling and laser stuff. Still working on the Middletown Journal building. Been trying to fix that building up. It's costing more and more and more money. And, it's crazy.
The lumber's down.
Don't need it.
Oh.
I'm
You're past that part.
way past, actually, in renovating that building, we don't want wood products in there at all. We want to do everything with metal studs, as much plaster or stonework as we can. The biggest reason is because as large as the building is, but still as old as the building is, when you're renovating it, you have to consider fire suppression systems. And if you can go in there and say, hey, if my building's all stone, it's not going to catch fire, then you don't have to have a sprinkler system. And a sprinkler system is incredibly expensive. So we're going to stay away from anything that burns. Anything.
Understand.
Every the furniture, even the windows, everything had to be aluminum, tempered glass. It's crazy. And the costs are exorbitant. The windows, you can imagine 47 new windows. And the typical window is like 7 feet wide, 8 feet tall. I think there's 11 of those windows that have custom arches on the top. So it's $140,000 for those windows. And we're doing the rest of the windows as a phase 2 project. That's going to cost another $75,000. But the outside of the building will look really, really nice at that point. They finish towards the end of finishing up the roof. We're bringing in electricians and plumbers to get the place up and usable here soon. Occupancy permit, work permits, all of that. But it definitely gets very annoying as people keep saying, hey, this is going to cost more money. This is going to cost more money.
Keep going up.
All the prices are going up. Like, oh yeah, well, we can't get this, can't get that. And, I gave you a quote, but it's going to cost me about 15% more. How do I say? That's a lot of money. So I joke with everybody about how, either I'm going to keep it and try to fix it up, or I'm going to sell it. It's always like that, right? You're going to keep it or you're going to sell it. So, and somebody offers me a crap load of money, I will sell it. So that's the property that we're going to keep. The laser business is really suffering because of the tariffs and the cost of shipping. I'm sure you guys were joking earlier about you look at you're going to buy something from overseas and you look at the may include additional costs due to tariffs. And the cost of tariffs went from 4% to 28%. So it's kind of like you go to the store and you walk in and like, hey, okay, our taxes are for food is 4%. All right, so you go in, you go shopping, and you go through that aisle where you're committed, you have to buy this stuff, and you're out of there. You're like, oh no, your taxes aren't 4%, they're 28% now. Okay, wow. So you pay your 28% because nobody can get away with it. And then you get out the building and it's like, okay, well before you can get into your truck, we're going to charge you $25,000. You're kidding me. So the cost of shipping has gone crazy. It's gone from $5,000 for a 40-foot high cube container. Now it's $25,000 to $27,000 for the same container. And when I'm importing 5 to 7 shipments a year, in order to do the same business, it's costing anywhere from $250,000 to $350,000 more just to stay in business, the same business. But so we're thinking, like, some companies, their mode of doing business is It's called just in time. You have just enough equipment, just enough stuff to stay in business for like the next few days. And that is just not feasible in reality. Even I think Dell and Gateway had a problem a long time ago where like they ran out of capacitors. You know, they ran out of this. And, well, we're not gonna have it for 2 days. So that shuts us down for that long. So you have to have at least 4 days supply. You know, and that's crazy to me to think you only have enough capacity for 4 days.
They were saying this morning there are 24 ships off of Savannah waiting to be unloaded. And that's Savannah. That's not West Coast.
The West Coast, there were over 70 container ships last week. This was waiting to come in.
And they don't work nights and they don't work nights.
Part of it is that they got people that have bought stuff and they know that, hey, the best price is overseas. If they're going to buy $5,000 worth of product, because of the physical size of it, it comes in a shipping container, comes across, and they had to pay $5,000 to get it. Okay, so now they have $10,000 in cost. But to buy the same product manufactured in the United States would cost $15,000 from Indiana. So you have, including shipping and the product, it's $10,000 from overseas. So it's actually, $5,000 savings to buy overseas. Well, now it's not $5,000 shipping; it's $25,000 plus the $5,000 of the product. So you have $30,000 invested over here, or you buy in Indiana for $15,000. Well, it's already in the shipping container boat, and it's on the way here. And these customers are saying, "We're done. I will take that loss and buy it from Indiana. I have to." That's one example. Okay? Now, in my example, I buy $100,000 worth of product. It's shipped over here. It normally costs me $5,000. Now it costs me $25,000, so I have $125,000 invested. Okay. Can I buy that same product from the United States or from a vendor in the United States? You can buy a similar product from a manufacturer in the United States. Theirs is better. It's kind of like I'm selling Toyota Tundras, and I can buy Ferraris in the United States. A Ferrari truck. So instead of having a nice Toyota car, I can buy Ferraris. Well, the Ferrari in the United States is going to cost me a whole lot more. So instead of having that $100,000, $125,000 cost, I can buy 20 laser machines for $400,000. I can't stay in business with a $400,000 cost, but still my business profile, the whole plan does not include that extra $350,000 worth of costs that I'm getting run into. So the easier thing for me to do is we're not a just-in-time inventory type company.
Can't be.
I've made sure that we have a revolving inventory, which has worked great. But instead of bringing in 20 to 26 laser machines per shipment, I had probably in April, I had 90 to 100 laser machines in my warehouse in inventory. And even now, we have about 45 laser machines in inventory. So what I might do is, and we're recording now, aren't we?
I'm not going to say you would jack up the price, but that's what you got to do. It's just
we might increase the price. We've already increased the price about 5%.
Yeah.
Which is not enough to cover the cost.
Jack it up to the price you need to cover the cost and take your beating.
And take a little bit of beating right there.
If it stops,
we can continue selling the inventory that we have, and which means we'll probably run out of inventory.
You can't do that.
March.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Okay.
You'd be out.
You would be out of work.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you guys know I've diversified my income to different methods, so I'm not just reliant on lasers. We have warehouses that we have and rent out, but
There's some big companies that are taking it to the face too, because I watched a documentary a couple of weeks back, and it was really interesting. It was explaining what was going on and how shipping ports are closed on the West Coast because of for one, is they have a 1 week quarantine on most of the boats before they even dock them. But half the ports are overloaded in empty containers. They can't take anything off the boats because they have no place to go with it. That was interesting. And then
I'll give them $100 for an empty.
well, that's the thing. They're wanting a lot of money for those empties too, but they're selling empties. But some of what was interesting was too, is they were talking about Amazon's paying a premium to have their boats jumped ahead too. So other boats are being left, some boats have sat 2 or 3 extra weeks.
Now, at that point, it's not just the supply and demand. It's like, hey, I want to pay extra to get this gold bracelet, and I get to jump all myself ahead, and everybody else gets screwed.
So they're selling,
And,
entry ports still out on
and
boats.
Walmart is buying their own shipping container ships.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Amazon's paying for priority unloading, and then
It's called capitalism.
Now, Maersk is one of the main shipping container companies, and they own the boats and stuff. And they said that normally they would have expected 12 to 14 billion dollars in profits, and they hit 25 billion for the third quarter.
they're charging out the face.
Yeah, they're really screwing people. What's going to happen is that people are either going to stop their purchases, reduce their purchases, whatever. And they can only charge this amount for so long before people
Get into business and put them out of business.
You've got to find some alternative. It will be supply and demand. It's like, hey, at this price, I don't need it, or at this price, somebody else is going to get in and try to undercut them. But when you're at that cost of buying chips, not a whole lot of companies are doing it like that. This has also happened in the concrete industry, where I know you're like, how does this apply? Most of the concrete production is only a few companies that own, like in California, there's like 1 or 2 guys that own all of the concrete trucks, all the concrete places. So they have a very good hold on what the cost of concrete is. So if you want a patio or a foundation for your building, it's gonna cost. And that's the way that they've like, hey, we're all talking together, which is illegal. And to say, hey, this is what we're gonna charge. And if you don't like it, start your own concrete company. And they'll let you get up so far, and they'll buy you out, or they'll bully you out.
They choke you out.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what BP did too, back in, they choked all the gas suppliers in Claremont County out. And where they're all BP, and just before COVID, they all closed up shop. What the heck? So all of them have turned into marathons in the last, year, and I thought that was weird. And like half the stores are still not open. And they just closed.
BP got big here because in the 70s, when we were being stupid on gas prices, Shell was buying fuel from BP, and BP was selling it to them cheap, plus shares of the company. And then one day Shell woke up and BP said, by the way, we've got 51%. And within months, Shell was just gone.
Well, somebody just bought Marathon, didn't they?
I trying to correlate how, with the shipping container companies, most of them are owned by very rich people. Some only a few companies really own everything. With the concrete, there are only a few that own everything. If you want to get into business, it's really expensive. Whether it's concrete or if it's shipping containers. I don't think that, if me and the 10 people that richest people that I know, and plus all of you guys and the 10 richest people that you know, I doubt that we could afford a shipping container ship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
I've been saving my pennies, but I don't have that kind of money.
15 years ago, I moved up here to we developed a product that did process control on Ready-Mix trucks. sold to Cemex in Florida Rock, out in California a lot, which is kind of interesting. at this point.
You got, how mean are you, Ray? Are you mean? Yeah, because you gotta, these people you already sold. Oh, I'm coming back. Oh, guess what? 25%.
I can't do that.
Why not?
I cannot.
Why not? It's because
Oh,
you're
no, I
not,
can raise my prices.
because you're not a nice guy.
The
Well, you
same-
already sold them.
Sold is sold.
You've already sold them. Oh, there's a price increase. We just had a price increase. I had to pass that along to you. I can't afford to absorb it. Boom, you have a legal reason.
Instead of LIFO accounting.
Well, we are definitely first in, first out with our equipment. Most of our customers pay way before they receive equipment. And, you know, we can absorb so much, but not everything.
Yeah, you need to go. You gotta be mean, Ray. They're gonna string you up, Ray. There's gonna be nothing left but skin and bones.
I was
I
wondering,
know
what's
it's-
your ratio of service to sales? You know, like-
Actually, we do a lot of sales, not as much service. Part of it's because, you know, once we fix it, it's fixed. It's decent equipment, very good equipment. I do repairs on other people's lasers, other companies, just as much as we do repairs and upgrades on our own.
You got a good reputation.
We do. But even if, like, you know, I'm saying, if we sold out all of our inventory without a new order, you know, we would last until, you know, February or March easily. And then, you know, without ordering any more spare parts, we could probably last for another year. And
Never,
Just hoping to
never,
ride
never
out that
miss
wave.
a great opportunity. Never not use a great disaster. Okay, you got a disaster here.
yeah, we do need to
You
increase
need
our
to-
prices.
You need to utilize it. It's an excuse to utilize it. You got to do that. You got to be mean, Ray. I'm saying you got to be mean, Ray. You got to milk this cow. There's a cow done wandered into your territory, Ray. Are you gonna milk this cow or are you not?
You're wanting to milk a dairy cow that's not yours.
It's yours. It's everybody's.
In the market, people still trying to buy these machines?
Oh, yeah, there is not lost any interest in purchase.
Thank you.
Well, that's because people are gearing up to make stuff here.
You got to get the people you already sold to, and you got to get the new people too.
And one benefit
Just
is
a little bit
that
of glass.
you know, I can put a large amount of laser machines in one shipping container. That's good because, you know, even though it's $5,000, you know, originally and now $25,000, it's a hit, but it's a hit that we can increase the cost of our product and spread it out a bit. But when you add, you know, the increased cost in shipping and the increased cost in tariff, it's like the two of them together. It's just like, are you shitting me? Please stop. This is too much. I mean, per shipment, what I pay for this, I could have an employee, a well-paid employee for each shipment, and we do that 5 times a year at least. You know, we're losing 5 employees a year that we could have paid for them just to cover the cost of it. I mean, granted, we're already on a certain number of employees in the company. We're all paid well. We're very intelligent. You know, we're lean. We don't need a lot more employees unless I lose one. And then, hey, I got to search and hunt for another one.
We need to get you to get your MBN, Masters in Business Administration. Yeah, Masters in Business Administration. That's where you going when you starting. Yeah.
That documentary was kind of interesting. Was one of the things they were talking about was Toyota and how Toyota's fared all this fairly well in comparison to the people copying Toyota, because a lot of companies kind of half-ass what Toyota do.
Sure. Yeah, they buy the old chassis. That's
Well,
what the Koreans do.
You know, all the trucks lined up right without chips, right? Toyota's still manufacturing, spitting out cars, right? Even though there's chip shortage globally, you know? And they said part of what China learned from the tsunamis 10 years ago was when you're run, you know, parts on demand,
Yeah, just in time.
just in time delivery, there are certain parts that are not just in time parts, and you have to be able to
I
classify,
need a year of this,
you know.
a year or two of this.
Yeah, and that's what they did, is they stockpile 18 months to 2 years of the chips, because they learned, you know, 2 of their 3 chip plants got destroyed in the tsunami.
Oh,
And it takes 3 to 5 years to build a new plant, you know?
Wow.
So they stock, you know, they evaluated everything they did and they stockpile parts, you know, like plastic, for example. There's 50 other companies in the world that make plastic. So, you know, if they lost their plant, it's not a big deal to order plastic from one of the other 48 vendors, you know?
I like to think that I'm pretty good at business. I never took a master's in business administration. You know, all of mine has been engineering, and thrown into business, but I still adapted pretty well. I mean, I have plans for diversity, plans for what to do as a business, and survival plan. But it's tough. You know, if you're in survival mode, you're like, hey, this is happening, but we only have so many employees. Yeah, it gets a lot tougher.
It's interesting too, just from the fact that they were talking about how many of the global companies are not going to survive this because they have no contingency plan, right?
I tell all my laser customers, when you're building stuff, whether it's arts, crafts, or robot drones or whatever, you don't sell just to 3 or 4 customers. You don't sell to your local business, because there's this amazing thing called mail and shipping and the internet, and you need to have a global economy or a national continent economy. That's who your market is. And for us to have this crazy shipping problem, it's
See, your business has gotten out of the engineering technical field. Now you're turning into a business guru, dude, and you need to get your sheepskin over there, and they need to.
I definitely am much less of a bolt turner and wiring anymore. I'm much more I'm running the business.
And you can learn to appreciate it and enjoy it if you're successful. If you want to be successful at it, it's something you can learn to enjoy. If you can make money at it, hey, you should learn to enjoy it. I think it's enjoyable. I think you enjoy running your business, although it's like taking a beating sometimes, but mostly.
Well, I mean, whenever, I don't know if you guys know what it's like to run your own small business. I can still consider my business as a small business. But there are days where I got to do the weed eating, I got to do the lawn mowing, I get to change the toilet, or I get to scrape tile today. And that's why I look like crap.
You need to float to the top to where you never do that directly anymore.
Yeah.
You delegate.
I need to delegate. Well,
You got important up to do up here.
died on Sunday. Grandma died another grandma died yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm serious. We had a customer, an employee that died in a car accident on Sunday. Another employee that his grandma died day before yesterday. Got caught driving without a driver's license.
People make him die?
No.
I've seen it before. I'm just,
But there's
They're
a lot
up
of things
for
you can't control. So when stuff like that does happen, and we don't want to lose our momentum, if somebody like me, I gotta step in and say, hey, let's keep rolling this. Okay, now I took their place for 2 or 3 days, and then if they can see that, look, Ray is willing to sit down here and do this job. If Ray's doing this just as good as you guys are, something's wrong. Worry about your job, because he's going to hire somebody else.
That's another reason you need the MBA. The employee thing is a big ripper, and to keep somebody in those positions is a big, and you know it.
Yeah, it's having employees, it's like babysitting.
We need to find out. We need to find out. We need to find somebody that knows how to do this, and make buddies with them. Okay, maybe down at the end, Gail went to Xavier, and go to Xavier.
Well, if all this stuff settles down or whatever, I end up selling out of everything by March, April, May, whatever, and then we're just doing technical work, I will go back to college. But you guys know I don't need to work anymore. I'm doing well. But I would love to have some good advice when I'm not being recorded. And
Yeah.
but
Who's got a good business? And you should be able to find out who's been successful doing small businesses. And there should be tons of these people laying around. There may be one down at Xavier.
even with as much struggle as everybody's having,
Yeah.
Rabbit Laser has done very well.
Mhm.
And because of that, we've had like 4 offers to buy the business in the past 6 months.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm like, wait a minute, is this my time? Is this my time to get out? But,
Golden parachute. Yeah.
Trying to buy you out.
no, actually, it's similar structure companies in the United States that want to diversify their product portfolio.
Here it is. Decide what you want and ask for it. Moving
Yeah,
down the road.
that's a tough, how to
No.
decide it also.
Oh, yeah. That's all you need to do. Hey, make them an offer.
Just 30% over what they offer. See how long.
Stay on as a consultant.
I would have to stay on for 6 months. I would have to guarantee that they can lease my property from like the building for 5 years. They
No
want to see
problem.
financials for the past 5 years. I'm like, hey, this is all no problem.
No.
If you're wanting to do 3 times my annual gross, I'll show you everything.
Yeah. Okay, write it up. Make them an offer. Add 50%, make them an offer. Good deal. If they don't like it, okay. We have an understanding.
Right, then you move on to your next business.
Yeah.
You start making electric scooters.
I'm not. Those are like the most abused, the city scooters, city bikes,
Yeah, those are hilarious.
they're abused.
Oh, did you have
There's
anything?
about 30 of them.
Anything
in
new with
the river and Hamilton.
But yeah.
All right, we'll
One of those
continue it next
companies already
week.
went out
We
of business.
got a bunch of people showed up again new this week, so we got,
Laser cutting lawnmowers. Laser cutting lawnmowers.
Catch everything on fire.
all right, we got
Never asked them.
I'm turning the lights off.
Okay.
Time to go. Thanks, Leroy.
All right, I'll see you guys. Hopefully I'll see everybody next week.
All right, good job.
You know when you need a 9-volt.
Hey, if you want power supplies, I have boxes and boxes of different power supplies.
I used to have boxes and boxes. Oh, I have 12 volts.
Oh, I got 12 volts, 5 volts, 16
Yeah.
DC. Crazy.
I never get these up, so-
All the prime numbers. In Polish.
I mean, like 6%.
All right. Take care, Art.
Take care.
I will hopefully feel a bit better next week and see you again on chat.
Okay,
All right.
take care.
Bye.